So my research, I want to be practice-based, right, and being able to be implemented and give policy prescriptions. And so that's a big part of what we do. We look at some of the theoretical work that hasn't done a lot of the actual quantitative analysis on measuring or actually being on the ground. So the energy justice literature or theory and concepts, a lot of them are coming from the UK. So there's a lot of scholars in the UK looking at this, and so they're pontificating and putting out, what tenets should be, and so I see myself as actually kind of taking that theory and trying to measure it on the ground and identify, what the challenges are, especially from an institutional perspective, but what are the opportunities at a local level, and how can that be expanded, particularly like this idea of community-based approaches. And so because, especially in urban areas, the way development has happened and the way people live, we still have segregated urban areas. Housing was built at certain times, and so there's different building codes for certain areas. And so really understanding the uniqueness of place is a big part of how I train my students and how I conduct my research. And so working with some community activists, we're trying to come up with, can we, as the city of Detroit tries to do these, what they're calling 20-minute neighborhoods, is there another part of that that could focus on housing and energy, and then some other people are focused on water? How do we impact, a targeted community-based approach that's focused on housing that has a big part of energy and also water? And how can you help people identify programs? Because as you said earlier, sometimes people don't know about these programs, that they exist. They don't know the requirements or regulations. And so are there opportunities to have kind of energy ambassadors in neighborhoods that help people identify what they qualify for, the best way to go about applying for it, and then set them on a path to kind of energy sufficiency? For me, that's when I talk to students, I always, say I pay my bills online, so I really have no relationship with the utility company. But I never forget talking to a lady in Kansas City, and she just talked about, how her, heart rate goes up when she sees the utility van come down her street. And she was like, is it me today? Or, is it my neighbor? And am I going to have to give my neighbor an extension cord so they can use my power? And so I think those challenges in communities are some of the things that can provide, prevent people from, like you say, if the utility sends you a letter about applying for a program, like the whole idea with smart meters, and people were afraid of smart meters. Or like the two-way devices, that was a big part of the Kansas City project, the two-way, so you could see their utility bill in real time. And a lot of people were saying, well, that just makes it easier for them to know when to shut me off. If I'm going to see my bill and I know I can't pay it, then that just means I know next month they're going to shut me off. And so this whole idea of ambassadors, which was implemented in Kansas City, and a couple organizations here are thinking about trying to do the same thing or doing it on different levels, but it's finding that trusted individual in the community that either is hired by the utility or the third party collaborator that can go to neighbors and say, hey, I participated in this program and it works, or I participated in this program and you're not going to be embarrassed, or because we sometimes think that low-income people just want assistance, but there is a pride issue there, and it's very invasive, right? You have to put down, all this information about your household, who's disabled, who's this, who's that, and so finding someone that can, kind of make that process less invasive, less traumatizing, I think is one way to overcome that.